Welcome to Invisible Strings, where we tug at the little threads that hold our lives together. From mental health and relationships to marriage, motherhood, and all the beautiful chaos in between. I'm Katie, your guide to navigating life's tangled web, one string at a time. Think of this as your weekly dose of insight, sprinkled with a bit of laughter, some heartfelt chats, and maybe even a happy tear or two. So, whether you're juggling a million things or you just need a break, let's untangle life together, because those invisible strings, they're what keep us connected. This is Invisible Strings. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Invisible Strings. I'm Katie, your host. Thank you guys so much for the amazing welcome last week, for coming on here and listening, for all of your support, all the text messages. It has been incredible and it's been so humbling. I love hearing from you. I really love hearing your stories, and all the feedback was more than I could have ever imagined. So thank you so much, for really from the bottom of my heart. It's been a really cool experience. It's been really fun. I love that people who I haven't spoken to in a long time are listening to it, and it's been something that is so encouraging to me. And I say this because I really think that hearing people's stories is important, and I don't want anyone to feel alone in this journey that we're all on. This journey to be a better mom and a better friend, daughter, sister, cousin. I think it's important that we have community, and I really want to make sure that people know that they do have a community here. It's something that we're all working on and we're working towards together. We're all working towards those same goals. We're going to talk about mental health and motherhood. So many of us face this, and a lot of us just don't talk about it. How are we supposed to raise another human when we're struggling ourselves? This is something that I have personally wrestled with, and I know that I'm not alone in this. I know that there's a lot of people that are struggling with different things, and they're also trying to be a mom and raise amazing girls and boys. So I think that it's important that we recognize that motherhood is so beautiful. It's so rewarding. It is life-changing, but if you're being completely honest with yourself, it's also incredibly exhausting. It's very overwhelming at points, and sometimes it's just hard. It's hard, especially when you've got a lot going on with yourself. So you probably are like, how am I supposed to do this and also deal with my own anxiety and depression, or just really the weight of daily stress? I feel like it can just feel impossible. So today we're going to talk about the challenges, the realities, and most importantly, how we can support each other and how we can support ourselves. We also wanted to share a personal story about my own struggles with mental health and what I had to do to figure out what was actually going on with me. You know, obviously our brains are very complicated and doctors don't have all the answers. I realized through this experience that I've had to be my own advocate and I've had to figure things out myself. This world of medicine is amazing. It's a beautiful thing. I'm so happy that we have it. But at the same time, it's a business, and you need to advocate for yourself. You have to do your own research on what's going on with you. And can be incredibly overwhelming on top of being a mom and not being able to function. So this has been my journey, and it's been a really long journey, but this has been my journey through kind of getting to the end of the anxiety and panic, and what I did and how I connected some dots and how I advocated for myself and found doctors that would advocate for me. Let's start with this. Motherhood's already a full-time job. It's emotional, physical, and mental work all rolled into one. For a lot of us, it's in addition to another job that we have or other responsibilities. And for a lot of us, it's also a role that we've stepped into without any real training. We've kind of gotten married, started having kids. Some of us have babysat. Some of us are very maternal, and some of us really do enjoy being around children. And some of us have never even ever been around children. So it's hard. and we're responsible for these little lives. So it feels sometimes like we're just expected to figure out as we go. And we are. That is what we're supposed to do. So what happens though when you are trying to be the best mom you can be, and at the same time, you're dealing with anxiety, depression, or just feeling completely alone and not being able to figure out what's going on with you, just feeling drained. I know you've all heard this before, but it's impossible to pour from an empty cup. So when we neglect our mental health, everything else, our relationships, our patience, our ability to be present starts to suffer. Let me share my personal story with you. On the day Olivia was born, she's my first, my whole life changed. It was the most amazing experience I've ever had. And I could actually feel a shift in who I was. Like, I remember it. I remember being like, okay, I need to get this together. There's no more time to be selfish with this anxiety and panic and just the angst. And not everybody feels this way, but for me, my anxiety felt really, really selfish. And I wasn't even meaning to be that way. It's just that it overtook my brain, and I never realized how my decisions would affect other people because I was concentrating solely on myself just to feel like I could stay alive, if that makes sense. And I think it does make sense to a lot of you. But I really just wanted to be the best version of myself. And that's really where my journey started. I started working out, joined a Bible study with girls that were my age. I started eating higher amounts of protein and omega-3s. And I really started to dig into my specific issues because anxiety wasn't the only issue I was dealing with. I started looking at my sleep patterns. I started looking at my vitamin levels, the products I was putting on my body, as well as the food I was putting in my body. And I really started to see a difference when I started making those changes. I started seeing a therapist, and I started to really dig into my specific issues. Anxiety was just one part of it. So I also at the time, before having Olivia, found out that I had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and hypothyroidism, which is an autoimmune disease. And on top of that was the anxiety. So why were those things happening in my body? What was I doing? What was I eating? What was I not doing for those things to happen? Because although they seem to be very prevalent now, it's not the way our body is supposed to function. So I also started seeing a therapist at the time. Questions weren't really being answered. And it was kind of like, oh, if you have anxiety, like medication. Oh, hypothyroidism, synthroid. Oh, PCOS, like, I don't know. Don't eat carbs. Like, what? No. So it kind of became this puzzle to me. And I wanted to solve it because I really felt like they were all related. And I wanted to solve this because I do not want my children to have to go through this when they get older. I need to figure out the problem and then figure out a way to fix it. So I really became my own advocate, and I read a ton of materials on mental health and the causes. And I came across this one article that talked about this gene mutation called MTHFR. Write it down and look at it and let me know what you think that says, because I'm not going to say it on here. It's inappropriate. But MTHFR is a gene mutation, and it can increase the homocysteine levels, which can contribute to a number of health conditions. There's a lot of them, just a couple of them: cardiovascular disease, blood clots, pregnancy loss, cancer, psychiatric disorders, autoimmune disorders. And I stopped there. And I was like, what? Because psychiatric disorder, anxiety, autoimmune disorder, hypothyroidism. What was this? No one's ever talked about MTHFR before. What is this? So I went to my doctor, and she said, I actually bet that if we test you for this, it's going to come back positive. I would actually put a child on it that it would come back positive. I will absolutely test you for this. So she tested me for it, and it came back positive on one of my genes. And what MTHFR gene mutation does is it makes it very hard to absorb your vitamin Bs and your folic acid. So I think at that point I had already had Olivia and Whitney, and I'm very surprised that I was able to do that. Now, my pregnancies were both very exhausting and very anxiety ridden, but they were always healthy, and so were my deliveries. Thankfully, that wasn't an issue for me, but it very much could have been. And they talk about blood clots in here, and it's not part of a panel that they would do if you were to have a blood clotting disorder, but it can play a role in it if there's kind of a perfect storm. So I found all of this incredibly interesting, and it also plays a huge role in anxiety, because if you aren't absorbing your vitamins, you're missing key nutrients in your diet that you can't get unless you are able to take these vitamins in a way that your body can absorb them. This information really changed a lot for me, and it started to make sense why some of these things were happening in my life. It was funny because I would talk to doctors about it. Like if I'd see a new doctor or if I'd go and see a new endocrinologist, they'd be like, what's MTHFR? And it ends up that this gene mutation runs in your family and your kids could have it. And another thing that MTHFR is very prevalent in, or you'll see people be positive for MTHFR that also have ADHD or ADD. And there's so many other things, and it can simply be fixed with making sure that you are receiving methylated vitamins. With that being said, I started taking methylated B vitamins and methylated folic acid, and that changed a lot for me. It gave me a lot more energy. I was able to sleep really well. Just things changed. My anxiety got better. For sure, it was better, and things were good for a while. Fast forward to our move here to North Carolina, and I started seeing a new doctor here, and she spent about an hour with me, just listening to all the stuff that I had uncovered and listening to my history and my background. And she at one point stopped me. She took my hand and she said to me, Katie, I'm actually really hearing more of an ADHD diagnosis than anxiety. The anxiety is secondary to the ADHD. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? How is that possible? And we did a battery of tests, and it turns out that she was right. And I remember going home and telling my mom and being like, Mom, they think I have ADHD. She's like, that's not possible. Like, I had you tested when you were a kid. And I was like, that's so weird. Is it just adult onset ADHD? No, it's not what it is. But I did find out through my research that back in the 80s, when I was tested for it, there was not a lot of testing for girls. They were testing mostly boys for ADD. And what it looks like in boys most of the time is a lot of energy and hyperactivity. And because girls have kind of been taught since we were younger that that's not how we act, a lot of times for girls, they will process that inwards, and that will create anxiety, depression, OCD, a number of other mental health situations. And they will be told that this is the problem. You have anxiety. You have generalized anxiety disorder. And then they'll give you a medication. And I did take medication in high school, and it was good. It was fine, but it never really took it away. It was always there, where there was always like a level. And so when I learned all that and how girls present differently and how we internalize it differently, and then the way that we show it is different, it gave me all the confidence to go back to my doctor and be like, cool, what are we going to do? What's next? What are we going to do? And so there's lots of things you can do, obviously, for ADHD. And I chose to try a medication called Vyvanse. And for me, it changed my life. I no longer had anxiety. And I know you're probably like, no way. But honestly, like I didn't. It was gone. It is gone. I'm telling you, it's gone. I don't have anxious thoughts. I don't worry about what happened yesterday, and I'm not thinking about what's happening tomorrow. I'm literally living right now. Now, I'm not saying like, I don't know, if I had to go get a test done, like I would probably be anxious about it, but I wouldn't be irrational. And that's the key word, is irrational. And when you're in it, you don't even know that you're being irrational. Your thoughts, your decisions, they're all based on fear, and you don't even actually realize that. And so now the way that my brain feels is just quiet, calm and quiet. And there's such a difference between even when I was a kid, my mom talks about, to now is like, it's just quiet. I'm no longer making these decisions based on fear. And it's just given me so much joy in my life. And I'm really, really thankful for it. And I know that, medication's not for everybody, and that doesn't work for everybody, or potentially maybe you're just super anxious about taking medication and that's why you're not trying it. And I had a therapist tell me one time, she was a Christian therapist, and she said to me, medication is a gift. It's truly a gift from God. this life is very hard and we don't have all the answers. And whether you believe in Jesus or you don't believe in Jesus, it's not going to negate you from having horrible things happen to you. And we're really, really lucky to have certain drugs out there that can help our brains and help our bodies. And I just think it's up to you to really concentrate and research. I think it's up to you to really research to see what is going to work for you, what will work in your life. And also at the same time, I think it's important to understand when you're making those decisions, why are you making them? What are they based on? Are they based on reality or are they based on fear? So that was my journey through figuring out what was going on and not just taking, you have an anxiety disorder and here's some medication for it. It was important to me to figure out the root cause of it because it was going to be important for me so that I could be a good mom and a good friend and a good sister and a good spouse. So here's my question for you. Have you ever felt like you were drowning in the weight of motherhood? Have you ever struggled silently because you didn't want to burden others? I want you to know that it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to admit that you're struggling. It's okay to admit that you're anxious. And most importantly, it's really important that you know that you're not alone. It's important that everybody has tools in their tool belt when it comes to managing anxiety, depression, OCD, any of those things that make life a little bit harder every single day. So I've made a list. I think that first and foremost, talking about it, it's imperative. You need to find a friend or a partner or a therapist or somebody that you trust. Saying things out loud can take away their power. That's a real thing. Take small steps. Like some days, the best thing you can do is just breathe. Just go sit in your closet and breathe. Take 5 minutes for yourself. It's important to be able to get through the day and know that you are safe. Another thing that I think is really important is giving yourself grace. You're not a bad mom for struggling. You're human. Our kids struggle every day. They come home, they're sad, they're happy, they've had fights, they've had celebrations. They're human. So are you. Struggling is okay. Struggling is normal. And being human means having ups and downs. So it's really, really important to give yourself grace. And of course, always seek professional support if you need it. Therapy, counseling, or even just joining a support group can really, really be life-changing. I know it's not easy. Literally, I know it's not easy. Like my kids deal with different things. I have tried to find therapists at different points in all of their lives. It is very hard. A lot of them don't take insurance. It's incredibly expensive, but it's very important if you can try to find somebody that can see you. A support group is always great. If you go to church, temple, wherever you worship, try to find a support group because it can change your life and it can make you feel less alone. Create small moments of self-care, even if it's just 5 minutes in the morning with yourself, with your coffee, a short walk outside, or a few deep breaths. These moments really do add up. You need to find your people, the ones that are going to show up for you, and you need to let them in. Break down those walls and allow people to help you. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. Okay, guys, I want you to take a moment right now and think about this. What is one small thing you can do today to care for your mental health? Maybe it's making a phone call or journaling your thoughts or simply giving yourself permission to rest. I want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you. Send me your messages, share your stories. Let me know what has resonated with you today. I think your voice matters, and I'd love to continue this conversation. Here's my invitation to you. Let's keep this conversation going. If you've ever felt this way, if today's episode spoke to you, reach out. I'd love to hear your story. You can message me, send me a comment, share this with a friend who you think might need it. Motherhood is hard, but we don't have to do it alone. We're all connected by invisible strings. Until next time, remember, you are seen, you are loved, and you are never alone. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Invisible Strings, where we've tugged at a few threads and hopefully left you with a smile and something to think about. Remember, life's connections might be invisible, but they're oh so strong. If you enjoyed today's chat, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little string pulling in their life. Until next time, keep those invisible strings intact, and I'll see you back here soon for more heartfelt conversations and a dash of fun. Stay connected, stay kind, and keep untangling.